Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, and for the recent Gauntlet event, which is a certain challenging mode of event and game that Zizran has been running roughly once every 3 months, I have decided to dive into it just a little bit with a Wintertide brand occultist. I usually throw myself at this thing like for one or two characters just because, it's there. Bit of a challenge, some bit of fun, but mostly suffering. I'm not particularly, speedy, zoomy, or any good at these things, so I just take something a little bit niche and go ahead and try and make it work. But there's nothing too niche about Wintertide brand. It is kind of a meta thing. It is a very solid starter, and it is pretty well established as a decent skill by a lot of people. It's just that it's not necessarily something you would have thought for Gauntlet, because not many people are doing it, so I went, hey, I'll go ahead and try cold damage over time for the first time in quite a few years. Last time I did it, I think I did a Vortex Cold Snap type character. It's very powerful stuff. It's a certain playstyle that probably not everyone's going to love, because it is damage over time. It is a bit on the slower end sometimes, and it's just kind of one-dimensional in the way you build it. So I haven't really gone ahead and made one for quite a while, because there's not much point, I felt. But I went ahead and made one for the Gauntlet because I haven't tried Wintertide brand specifically, and cold damage over times are a pretty solid start with absolutely no gear. And the Gauntlet event has gone pretty well for me so far with this thing. There is roughly a bit more than 100% life on all bosses, and everything's faster. There's 4 projectiles, there's increased area, and it all hits a bit harder. So with all that said, it hasn't really felt too bad, considering I've had to build extremely largely more than usual into defenses, so much more life, some armor, some block, all that sort of shit. Barely any actual damage nodes on the tree, but with the fact that you basically start using several cold damage over times and stack them together, it ends up coming together to still do decent damage if you can overlap all of your skills appropriately. So Wintertide brand itself can attach to the enemy 3 times. It stacks up to like 20 stacks, which let's say it does 2,000 damage per stack. It ends up being like 40,000 damage over time. You then also have a cold snap that is largely there for some utility, to give frenzies or maybe some curse on hit, but it can also do about, at the same time, about 10,000 damage over time. And then Vortex, just on our left click, those big potters we're dropping, also does something like 15,000 damage over time. That's just talking like level 60 numbers, something like that. So stack them all together and you do have some potent damage over time. So considering I've, got absolutely no gear, 4 lengths, and like fucking just barely capping resist, that sort of shit, it has gone fairly well for these boss fights that have twice as much life as usual. And I think in the end we got through the acts in about 10 hours, something like that, which is a typical league start for me anyway, on softcore under normal parameters. So it's been pretty quick, and I can say it's a decent choice and can recommend it as a type of character. For any league start, cold damage over time is basically one of those things that just hasn't gotten really any worse for a starter for a long time, but especially for Gauntlet, I think you can afford to build pretty tanky, and then just have a nice playstyle for bosses, as you can see, of keeping up your brands, and then just running around in circles trying to not get hit. That's what the brand playstyle is typically always kind of embodying, and it's a safe bossing playstyle. If you can, avoid certain mechanics and all that, because it just gives you plenty of time to focus on running around and dodging the certain mechanics. As you can see, things like the additional projectiles do get pretty crazy in these Gauntlet events, and honestly, it's just pure suffering for anyone that isn't really competing, which is 99.9% of us. So if you're into this type of thing, pure suffering, by all means, jump into the Gauntlet, give it a shot. But you're not really going to be achieving much, because you can't win these events unless you're going mega hard and you are one of the top players in the game and you're playing very meta builds that are currently the strongest things possible, because that's basically what needs to happen to beat these modifiers and do it quickly. So in any case, Wintertide brand is what I'm doing as an occultist, building it kind of thick, and it's just generic cold damage over time. Might take it to softcore at some point, see if we can build a much thicker DPS version of it, but like I said, it's pretty one-dimensional. You don't really do too many different wacky things with it. You just kind of build damage over time, get some defenses, and there you are. So let me show you how I've done this character so far. Here's my little character at the moment, level 74. Actually, we'll just double check the played time. 11 hours now, 11 minutes, and that is having done, 5 levels, 6 levels worth of maps, something like that. Mathil Gauntlet Pain Champ. Pain Champ's just an emote that embodies the feeling I have when playing a Gauntlet. So level 74 Occultist. Managed to beat Act 10 in 68, level 68, something like that. By that point, had enough life and defense that I thought it was fine to go ahead and do it. Absolutely nothing special going on, just my hat still needs fucking anything, for Christ's sake. Got a bit of spell damage, bit of life on a shield. That's pretty recent. I only just swapped into a shield kind of recently to get Tempest Shield and stuff going, and I'll even jump to the hideout real quick just so we can see my reservation, all of that. So yeah, Tempest Shield, just so we can get a bit more spell block, as well as regular block, since I've spec'd a bit into that too. Running Determination, Defiance Banner, Vitality, a little bit of Clarity. It's just a level 1, I think, to help my mana a teensy bit. Just started to make a few upgrades on gear. Basically, life resists is where we were across the board, and maybe some cast speed on your weapon. Plus, gem levels are very important as well in the end for scaling your DPS and damage over time multiplier, cold damage over time multiplier, that sort of stuff. So my actual passive tree is basically just pathing to life nodes and stuff. So we went through the cast speed just so I can get cycle through my abilities quicker, and as well that Wintertide brand stacks up faster that way. The branding playstyle is very nice when you can get to your rune binder very early on, and by level 12 you can. And then the most important thing for Wintertide brand is to grab the first few points here, and then the mastery for brands attached to a new enemy each time they activate, no more than once every 0.3 seconds. As soon as you grab that, like level 13, 14, some shit like that, you will have really nice clear speed on your Wintertide. You apply it to an enemy, and then it like bounces to other enemies, and it just starts to get your clear speed chaining and ramping. So that's pretty much the most important thing to do. And then just grab your other cold damage over times, and you got yourself a nice little build. From then on, just basically I'm taking life nodes and went up this way very recently for some damage over time, but basically it was life nodes all the way through leveling. Bit of block nodes, grab the little bit of extra block there, grab the aura reservation just so we could fit in all of our shitty defensive skills, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Grabbed 40 brand attachment range as well, bit of damage over time, some life stuff, and for our ascendancy, the first 2 points go there, second 2 points go there. I've then grabbed this for another curse. I'm currently using Frostbite and Ellie Weakness, and then my last 2 probably go there, and I might start running a Blasphemy so that we have some good clear on the explosions and all of that. But we'll see how that goes. The actual link setup at the moment, Wintertide brand, faster casting, control destruction, and efficacy. So I'm using faster casting just to cast quicker and also apply the stacks faster. Otherwise, we have over here Vortex, Ellie Focus, control destruction, and efficacy. And that's just on the left click, so it's applying pretty much always. You can either have your Molten Shell, or your Vortex on the left click, and then press the other one however much you want to. At the moment I'm doing it this way, but maybe I'll swap them around. It's not really that necessary to just lay Vortexes everywhere, but I'll test some stuff out, see how it goes. And then down here is where I'm using Cold Snap, Bone Chill, Frostbite, and Hex Touch. So my Cold Snap is something I use pretty frequently during mapping, and it's just to apply a thicker debuff of Chill that gives damage, more cold damage against enemies, as well as that applies my Frostbite. So you just slap it down, and it also gives you frenzies during mapping. So typically just running around pressing brands and then using Cold Snap, and occasionally dropping a Frost Bomb for exposure whenever we need to, or an Ellie Weakness for additional curse whenever we need to. Currently using Frostblink, Arcane Surge, so just rarely needing to do a bit of a dash, and it also procs Arcane Surge. Otherwise, Determination, Vitality, Defiance Banner, Frost Bomb, and Tempest Shield, Clarity, Ellie Weakness over here, and just lots of resists, bit of block, bit of spell block, nothing special going on just yet, and a Granite Flask and some flasks and all that. So pretty basic character, got me to maps pretty smoothly, and I have been enjoying Wintertide brand. It's a pretty satisfying playstyle, just a bit of cold damage over time, and maybe we'll do a softcore version in the end if we have time at some point of our lives. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and Gauntlet and Wintertide brand. Thank you very much for it. Thank you. Fuck, shit. I was going to also mention this. Cursed body armor, if you want, like the look of the pirate stuff. Basically, it's a supporter pack that got released just through the streamers, and that is going through the Nexus. I'll leave a link in the YouTube. You can buy it there, and you just look like a bit of a pirate supporter pack, and, we get a percentage of the sales. So, yeah, that should be it. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.